I would hate to think of Steve Harris in his old age. Staying in bed till midday because you can't turn the heating on.
The guy lives in a £1 million mansion with an on-site pub. I don't think he's suffering from the cost of living crisis.
Hello and welcome to Series 2 of Maiden Voyagers, a podcast series where we analyse the entire discography of Iron Maiden in painstaking detail. But as usual, should we introduce ourselves?
Why not? Why not?
So I'm Blev, an historian of sorts, and an Iron Maiden... Can't think of a way to describe my Iron Maiden fanness now. An Iron Maiden... I've already said devotee in the last series, haven't I?
Yeah.
Fanatic. I've probably said fanatic.
You've had fanatic before. We've used all our ideas already.
Should we just take it as read? I like Iron Maiden a lot, basically.
Yeah, I think
let's go with that. Yeah.
I'm Sam, a writer of sorts, and I like Iron Maiden quite a bit. Not as much as you, but, solid.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
So, Series 2.
Woo!
Here we are.
Yeah.
After an extended break.
Yeah, because... I mean, no one really needs to know this, but we lost a microphone, so we literally couldn't record.
And I have a child, which, I
have a job.
and I think we have...
Turns out we have lives. Yeah, contrary to us spending a lot of time talking about Iron Maiden, because that doesn't suggest we have lives.
Not that we're bragging or anything, about our jobs and our lives.
Our steady income and our family commitments.
So shall we elaborate how... the series thing is going to work. Not that we're making this up as we go along, of course. By no means. But there is a sort of formula here, isn't there?
There's a vague plan.
Yeah. So tell the people about the route forward, Sam.
Okay, well, if you remember season 1, we went through the first 4 Iron Maiden albums. So Iron Maiden, Killers, Number of the Beast, and Peace of Mind. The plan for season 2 is broadly similar. We're going to go through the next 4 Iron Maiden albums. If I can remember off the top of my head, Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son, and No Prayer for the Dying.
Well done. That's good. Yes.
Good.
4 out of 4 there.
So we're going to cover those 4 in this season. We might do another episode or 2 that's just chatting about current events in the Iron Maiden world, not more broadly than that. We're not qualified for anything else.
Hot takes on Putin's war on Ukraine.
Yeah, not that. But yeah, so it's the next sort of phase in the Maiden chronology.
A very exciting phase as well, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, up until the point, yeah.
Some of it's exciting.
I think the listeners can guess what point we're talking about when it ceases to become as exciting. But, to begin with, very exciting stuff indeed.
Yeah, it's a powerful start.
So thinking back to the first series then, first 4 albums.
So should we go through the rankings?
That would make sense.
The scores we gave the first.
Go on, yeah. Let's
set the context for season 2. So what the batting averages are. So for Iron Maiden, you gave it a very, very high marker of 9 out of 10.
A very appropriate and deserved 9 out of 10.
I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, which has been a bone of contention for this entire show so far.
But which is a national disgrace.
Well, just to reiterate, the reasoning being that I needed room to grow. It's not 7.5 in the context of all music. In the context of all music, it's probably higher than that. But in the context of Maiden's discography, it's a 7.5.
Okay. I mean... No. Let's keep going. Let's not get bogged down in this again. I feel.
Yeah.
Please feel free to go back to what would be episode 2, where we did the ranking.
Yeah, episode 2.
Episode 2, if you want to relive that drama.
The second album, Killers, you gave 7.5.
Yeah,
I gave it 6.5. I enjoyed it. I just it's patchy.
Well, I think we both concluded it's patchy. I think maybe
but its high moments are great.
Yeah, but
there's a lot to get stuck into.
There is a lot to get stuck into, and I think it is a really, underrated. Maybe not actually. I think, but yeah, it's definitely worth getting into. I feel it's probably the Maiden album that is most overlooked by casual Maiden fans. And I think
that's fair.
Even if you're a casual Maiden fan, I think that you'll still find plenty of things to enjoy there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm more than a casual Maiden fan, and I'd never heard the album in full until we covered it. So Yeah, definitely
about right.
overlooked. Then Number of the Beast, you gave 9.5.
Yeah.
I gave it 8.5. I think it's very, very good.
Okay, again, like
Look,
it's one of the greatest metal albums of all time.
yeah, right. But I think Maiden do
8.5.
better.
Well, yeah, they do better, but that's by the by.
But you haven't got room to expand on 9.5.
I've got 10 in my pocket. It's waiting to come out.
Okay, and then for Peace of Mind, I think we broadly kind of netted out in the same place, in that it is just less than 2/3 excellent, and then it kind of takes a sharp turn.
Yeah, I think a Peace of Mind, in a way, I think of all the records we covered, for me, it's actually the most frustrating one.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's fair.
And don't get me wrong, those first 4 albums are I think they're pretty much all classic seminal records, really.
Yeah,
In the context of heavy metal. I mean, they're all brilliant, but for me, Peace of Mind is the one that I think, oh, you're so close to greatness here. And then To Tame a Land.
Yeah.
Just shooting yourself in the foot with a song about dinosaurs that nobody wants or needs.
Well, that's A Quest for Fire. That is a bad song.
Yeah.
So yeah, we both gave it 8 out of 10, which seems pretty fair. I think that's representative. So in the interest of having like a mutual ranking, what I've done is taken our scores and put an average for each album. So we have like a collective Maiden Voyagers definitive ranking that, you know, by the time we get to the end of their discography in, I don't know, 2050 at this rate, we'll know between us what the best albums are. So in this ranking so far, we've got Killers at number 4.
Agreed. Yeah.
At number 3, we have Peace of Mind.
Again, agreed.
Number 2, Iron Maiden.
Yes.
And then number 1, Number of the Beast.
Yeah, that's
Which
pretty rare.
I think that tracks. I mean, some people might put Peace of Mind a bit higher than we did, but...
Well, you would be one of them.
Well, yeah, in fact, I literally did that. But, you know, it's averages, so it is what it is.
But now I know the system. The temptation is, of course, to massively skew the average system by awarding albums I really like ridiculously high scores.
Right, but then I could just
my ranking.
start giving things 1.
Ah, that's true.
But I haven't played that card
Damn.
because I'm not sure you could take the psychological fallout of me doing that.
It's like mutually assured destruction, isn't it? We both know we've got the weapon in our locker, but we know.
Yes, it truly is a cold war of opinions over here.
Right, so that's the first series.
That's the first series.
Wonderful run of albums. What a
So
treat.
we have a big set of loose ends from the first series in the form of Pedant's Corner.
Hey, everybody's favourite pedantic Iron Maiden feature.
Yeah, so what I did was I went through all the episodes where I'd forgotten to fact check things. So we've got quite a big selection of Pedant's Corner fact checking. I say that, but actually it's probably not that big.
This always feels the bit where basically you're marking my homework.
It is a little bit that, or marking my own homework sometimes, to be fair. So,
And also the Twitter folks marking our homework as well.
yeah,
Thank you, Twitter
actually, in my notes, I directly reference several things being corrections from Twitter.
At Maiden Pod, if you have any corrections.
Yeah, I mean, they're really useful. They save me Googling.
The person who tweeted us the original Kerrang review of Number of the Beast, that for whatever reason I only just saw the other day. Thank you. That was really fun to read.
Yeah, we get sent lots of cool
Yeah.
stuff. It's
It was
great.
incredibly matter of fact, which I found really odd. It was just it was just very descriptive in a way that if you'd read it, you'd guess the review was favourable, but it wasn't exactly effusive in its praise. It was just...
Yeah.
And, you know, Children of the Damned is a kind of down-tempo number before erupting.
It's a song. It lasts
big
roughly 5
chorus,
minutes.
And Gangland has a, intricate drum intro. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, thanks for that. It was a very interesting bit of reading.
Anyway.
Sorry, but yeah,
Pedantry,
pedant.
please.
Be a pedant. Go on.
Okay, so starting off with the Number of the Beast episodes, one of the first things was Clive Burr's writing credits. You claimed that the only one Clive Burr had was Gangland.
Yeah.
I think you know what's coming.
Yeah, I know.
You were corrected
I know.
by Alan on Twitter. that Total Eclipse was also a Clive Burr.
And fair play to Alan on Twitter. And I imagine Alan in real life as well.
I don't think Alan is a pithy screen name. I think that's his name.
Well, no, maybe he is just Alan on Twitter. But yeah, I'm not sure if I ever clocked that. And I was really fascinated to know that. That's really interesting. And again, I'd love to know how they decided to divvy those writing credits up and what Clive Burr contributed to Total Eclipse or...
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I guess song credits never really give you much of an impression of, other than the split between music and lyrics, like it could be anything that he contributed.
But yeah, but you know, when you think about how long it took Nico McBrain to get a writing credit on a Maiden album,
how long did it take?
Dance of Death.
Seriously?
Which I think is still... well, I don't want to make the same mistake again here, but I believe...
We'll fact check that in like
I believe
20 episodes.
And again, and this is not me saying this for sure, I think it's something like... It's not Facing... It's one of those songs in the second half of Dance of Death, but that is, I believe, Nico's only writing credit. He certainly didn't have one until Dance of Death, because I remember that being a bit of a talking point when the album came out. It's like,
maybe it is Face in the Sand, because that's also the song that he does a vocal version of on the B-side of No More Lies.
That would make sense then.
Yeah. And it's something.
So by that standard, Clive Burr doing quite well to get 2 in the 3 albums he plays on. 4, no 3, sorry, yeah.
3, yeah. So also from the Number of the Beast episodes, when we talked about the reading that opens the title track, The Number of the Beast, you didn't know who it was at the time.
No.
One of our frequent Twitter audiences.
Oh, I'm so glad you forgot about this. Yes.
Chris pointed out that it's the narrator of Count Duckula, Barry Clayton.
Castle Duckula, home for many centuries to a dreadful dynasty of vicious vampire ducks, the Counts of Duckula.
I could not believe that. I was so happy because I genuinely loved Count Duckula.
Who didn't love Count Duckula?
Were you a Count Duckula fan? Well, I don't know. It's one of those things that you either... I meet people our age.
You either loved Count Duckula or you're dead inside.
Well, no, we just didn't know. Like, I don't think... Like, I mentioned this to my wife. I don't think my wife had ever heard of it. I think it fell through the cracks for some people. But when we were young, we still had like regional television, right? So it sort of depended on maybe it depended on the region you grew up in, or
I don't
whatever.
know. I would have been watching it in London, and
well, yeah. Well, I don't know. Like some people just don't seem to have heard of it, but yeah, I mean, absolutely peak children's television.
I don't think children's television was regional.
Well, it must have been
because Count Duckula was just on ITV, right? So
yeah, no, but like in Wales, we had like HTV, which was the sort of Welsh, and then there's like Thames Television, and you know what I mean. Like there was sort of regional.
Yeah, but they don't change like the children's programming.
I mean, some
between regions.
They did because we got things in Wales you didn't get in England, like Super Ted. You know, they were like sort of.
We got Super Ted.
Yeah, but it came later.
But
anyway, I feel like
later.
This is going. We had
wasn't like a delay between Wales and England getting Super Ted later. There wasn't any localization required.
The basic point is, it's not everyone knows Count Duckula, and I don't.
The only thing we might have got later is either the engine because they'd have to redub it in English.
Yeah, but I don't know. Well, I certainly don't know how many people knew that was the same actor who clearly was the person you got if you couldn't afford Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Was that his career? Just making like if you can't afford Vincent Price.
Budget Vincent Price, yeah.
I mean,
which, you know, is a pretty respectable career. I'd happily do that.
What a CV, though. Wow. I mean, Iron Maiden, Count Duckula.
Yeah, that says it all, right?
An absolute hero. Absolute hero. Is he credited in the liner notes of Number of the Beast, I wonder?
I have not checked.
No, nor me.
Nor will we ever know.
No.
Unless someone more enterprising than us chooses to check.
If you know, the people on Twitter could just do what's meant to be our job.
I could go downstairs and look at the CD, but, you know, we've set everything up for recording now.
If we could outsource this whole thing and get people on Twitter to research it and send us some notes and we'll just do the podcast, that'd be great.
If you could just write us a script, we'll read it aloud in dramatic voices.
Yeah, a few ziggy one-liners, you know, sort of, be great.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry, yeah, good fact.
So, still more facts, well, sort of facts now from Number of the Beast. This isn't actually a fact, but one of the things you mentioned and quoted was when we were talking about the lawsuit surrounding Hallowed Be Thy Name, and we were talking about Barry McKay.
Oh, yeah.
So when Iron Maiden...
End of the show.
Yeah, sure. when Iron Maiden have their rebuttal to him, they keep referring to him as a serial litigant.
Yeah.
And I spent a good hour trying to find any proof of other litigancy.
Litigation.
There we go.
Yeah,
that's the one.
yeah.
Litigation that he'd done. Like if there were any other songwriting credits he tried to sue for and stuff. I couldn't find anything.
He's not even sued KFC claiming he came up with the unique
No,
end of
no.
Health
I just kept
Spices,
on getting like links to. I think it was the Ham and High from North London talking specifically about him suing for Hallowed Be Thy Name, but I couldn't find anything else.
I mean, maybe he's tried to get stuff off the ground,
Yeah,
but has never got. Because I remember after the Hallowed Be Thy Name Nomad thing, and clearly it's not come to anything yet, but he was talking about other songs he had in the pipeline.
yeah. I remember that.
Getting a coalition of former Maiden members together to, but that is interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just didn't get much PR. Also on that episode, I think it was in the context of us talking about the surrounding top 10 of Around Number of the Beast. One of them was Julio Iglesias. At the time, I said, I think that's Enrique Iglesias' dad. Wikipedia it is his dad. So,
Wow.
that means Enrique Iglesias is a Nepo baby and should have all his records stricken from him.
What a dynasty.
The Iglesias dynasty.
The Iglesias. Yeah. What would be the genre of music that...
Pop and ballads?
Pop and ballads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Well, it's more than I've got to my name. So
Yeah, fair play, yeah.
then this sort of a fact checked. You were searching for a word. You said there was a German word for being nostalgic for a place you've never been. I think you described it for nostalgia for a time you weren't around.
Yes, yeah.
So I couldn't find exactly that, but I found the word fernweh.
Okay.
Fernweh, which translates as far sickness and refers to feeling homesick for a place you've never been or could never go.
Oh, lovely. What was that word again?
Fernweh? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Sorry, spell it for me again.
Fernweh.
It's like Fernveyor, I guess. Fernveyor.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Nice
start
little word.
using that. Much to the confusion of everyone else, I imagine.
Yes.
Fernveyor.
Okay, we're on the home stretch now. We're
Okay.
on to peace of mind facts. So one thing I asked was when Nico McBrain got the gig from Clive Burr, I was wondering, did he happen to be Clive Burr's drum tech at all?
Yeah.
Just because that seems to be quite a popular way into employment in metal bands. But no, nothing seems to suggest that. And so the only thing we kind of had is the Trust connection. But actually, because we kind of surmised that, he was in Trust, Maiden played with Trust, maybe that's why he kind of came into the band. But actually, the Trust tenure isn't what led to McBrain joining Maiden. I found a really good interview with Nico from a couple of years ago where he highlights where he first met Steve and Co. So in
I'd love if I made called Steve and Co.
Stephen Sons.
Yeah, Stevenson's Limited, yeah.
Yeah. No, so to quote Nico, in 1979, they, being Maiden, did their very first European date in Belgium. I was playing in a band called McKitty, and we were on the same bill with them. I got to see Maiden's very first European show out of England, and that was the night I got to know the band. Steve saw I did an impromptu drum solo and a bass solo because the guitar player's rig went down. Steve remembered my solo and said it was one of the best solos he'd ever seen. And he's not a solo guy, as you know. You'd very rarely hear Steve do a solo, and you don't get a drum solo anymore. But that set me up to be the drummer when Clive started. He wasn't playing too well, and his heart wasn't in it anymore.
Oh, interesting.
So it was the McKitty collection. I've never heard of McKitty before.
Just to clarify, not a prototype of the all-female new metal band Kitty.
20
years later.
Yeah. Definitely not.
Definitely not. Okay, good. I'm glad we established that.
Jesus. Then also from the Peace of Mind episodes, we were discussing what Dee Snider band Clive Burr was in, and you said it was Desperado, and I said, was it Widowmaker? Because it also had Bernie Tormé involved.
Yes, yeah.
You said Desperado, which turns out was right, but Desperado kind of barely existed in that they got together, they recorded an album, but the album got shelved after recording it and then didn't get released until 2006.
Yeah.
But a few songs from that Desperado recorded album ended up on the Widowmaker album.
Oh, okay.
So that Widowmaker album has a few of the Bernie Tormé penned tracks on it.
Nice.
And that Widowmaker album's quite interesting in itself. Blood and Bullets, it's a bit of a mess, but it also features Al Pitrelli, who would later go on to be Sabotage, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and Megadeth very briefly. But this is him fresh off his stint from Alice Cooper.
That is an interesting
Al
concept.
Pitrelli has had a very interesting career.
He has. Yeah.
I also, moments before recording this, learned that he was the original guitarist in Danger Danger, which I never realised either.
Ah.
So yeah, okay, sure.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the final Peace of Mind episode, there was only a couple of things. You mentioned Revelations being the first Iron Maiden song that Steve Harris doesn't have a credit on.
Charlotte the Harlot. I forgot Charlotte the Harlot.
The Harlot is all Dave Murray.
Yeah, I knew that
And
as well. I knew that.
There's one more.
Give me just a second. That Steve Harris does not have a writing credit on at all. Mm-hmm. It's not a cover.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about I Got the Fire or whatever it is by Montrose.
So you're talking about a song.
A song that Steve Harris doesn't have a credit on.
Gangland.
Yeah,
Come on.
there we go. Nice.
Oh, took me a while. We got there.
Yeah, Clive Burr and Adrian Smith.
Oh, it's beginning to sweat a bit then.
So those are the only two that Steve Harris hasn't had a credit on up until Revelations.
I'm quite happy to stand corrected there.
Yeah. And then the final thing from Peace of Mind was neither of us really knew what Die With Your Boots On was necessarily about. You said you thought it might be about the Marquis de Sade.
Yeah.
So I can't find any definitive answers.
No, and I did go back and look at the lyrics actually, and it just seems utterly nonsensical, that song.
So a lot of people think it's about Nostradamus
Okay.
predicting apocalypse, basically, which I think fits the lyrics.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no definitive answer, really.
Could also be a bunch of nonsense, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could just be about someone who really likes boots,
It's, yeah.
but has a death wish.
It's the strapline for you. Jason
Worst
Statham.
horror movie ever.
He likes boots.
This summer.
Okay, I'll take that. That's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a solid B+ for the homework.
So with Pedant's Corner done and dusted, before we kind of cap off this intro to season 2 episode, are there any sort of, recent Maiden current events that have happened in the last, I guess, 6 weeks that we've been away?
Oh, stamps, isn't it, Sam? Royal Mail postage stamps.
Yeah, there's stamps.
Yeah, but not just any stamps, Sam.
Oh.
You can get stamps all the time. Do you want to guess who's on stamps?
Yes, it's Iron Maiden. Obviously, we know that.
But amazingly, and if you've not seen this story, and I presume you have, but so Royal Mail. So really, what's the point?
I've seen it.
Yeah,
sure.
But Royal Mail have issued a set of commemorative stamps honouring Iron Maiden. So you've got stamps with various live shots from different concerts from the decades. A set of stamps that have different artworks on them. And it's just kind of like an amazing thing because in the UK, the Royal Mail is one of those. It's kind of odd institution, isn't it? I mean, it is a private company, right? But it's still regarded as a sort of, alongside the royal family. It's kind of seen like a. I don't know. It's got like a kind of iconic status, I think, the Royal Mail, and to choose Iron Maiden of all the British bands because they've not done many commemorative stamp sets for musicians.
Yeah, I think they've only done like 3 or 4 previously.
Yeah, and when you look at who the others are,
it's like the Stones, Bowie, Queen,
yeah, and now Iron Maiden.
Probably the Beatles.
Yeah, you'd guess, wouldn't you? You'd want to think Macca's had his face in a stamp. Right, Ringo's got to be on a stamp somewhere.
But yeah, I think your point in particular, like your use of the word institution is a pretty crucial one. I think there's something very interesting about Iron Maiden being honoured by a British institution that is very much, this is a band that kind of pushed against institutions. So to have made it to a point where they have enough cultural cachet to be enshrined in something like stamps. And look, our cards on the table, I don't care about stamps. But
I mean,
there's something very
useful when you post a letter.
Sure, yeah, right. But there's email, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's something
Sometimes
just
you have to cast a ballot and a strike, and you can't do it electronically, so you need a stamp for your letter. Although it's a prepaid envelope, but that's by the by. Sorry, go on.
completely lost my train of thought now.
Stamps, yeah, the Royal Mail.
Yeah.
It's an institution.
Right. So there's just something very interesting about Iron Maiden of all bands being culturally enshrined that way before someone like Black Sabbath, for instance.
Yes, that is interesting. And I would love to say it's because of the cultural importance and significance of Iron Maiden, but part of me being a bit cynical here, knowing that Royal Mail is basically just a private company trying to raise cash, is looking at fan bases and who are the people who will just avidly buy into the collectability factor of stuff. And but having said that, that in itself is a reflection of Iron Maiden's massive popularity and loyal fan base. So that's not a diss necessarily, but it's it's a commercial move as much as I think they would like to portray it as some sort of recognition of, as if this is some kind of great honour. It's a commercial decision as well.
I think that's fair. And I think Iron Maiden have a unique position as like one of the biggest bands on the planet, but still somehow not exactly mainstream in a way that something like Metallica.
Yeah, definitely. In the way that the difference between those other bands you named, as like Bowie, the Stones, and Queen.
Yeah,
you could go to, I'd say, virtually any member of the public on the street and say, name me a Stones song, name me a Queen song, name me a Bowie song. They could do it. You couldn't do that with Iron Maiden.
No, that's true.
You know what I mean? If you picked a random person off the street and said, name me an Iron Maiden song, I don't think most people could even name Run to the Hills. If I'm being honest, most people.
Well, most people are fools.
Oh, of course they are. Yeah, most people are absolute cretins, but that's a different podcast.
Is it? But yeah, I think you're right. And also, I think I would assume that Royal Mail didn't proactively approach Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden over the last couple of decades, last decade in particular, has had a pretty incredible commercial arm in terms of licensing and merchandise and getting Iron Maiden on everything possible. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Iron Maiden commercial camp have kind of been pushing and pitching at Royal Mail for years.
Oh, I bet, yeah. It's the old retirement fund, isn't it? Gotta get those deals in.
Well, I made my contribution to the retirement fund. I bought a set of stamps and some envelopes because I thought they were hilarious.
I mean, as we all should, really. I would hate to think of Steve Harris in his old age, staying in bed till midday because you can't turn the heating on.
The guy lives in a £1 million mansion with an on-site pub. I don't think he's suffering from the cost of living crisis.
The GoFundMe for Steve Harris, so he's got.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, it is still a really... And what I find interesting about it is because it gained so much press traction. So
yeah,
I just happened to have the ITV News on one evening, and it was a news feature on the main ITV News. I mean, admittedly, the slightly end novelty feature. I was like, wow, this is really getting traction. And as this story first broke, and I was trying to find out some more information about it, one of the first things I found was this blog post from a guy who has a blog about stamps, and he was furious about this.
Furious?
He was absolutely incensed that he seemed to think the Royal Mail had debased itself by these kind of he's like a sort of stamp traditionalist, I guess.
Right.
But apparently the other thing about these stamps, again, this might need a fact check, but in his blog, this was one of the things he was cross about, was these were going to be the last set of stamps issued by the Royal Mail to bear the Queen's head on them.
Yeah, yeah.
So he seemed to think this was doubly insulting. I mean, who knows? Maybe Queen Elizabeth II did like Iron Maiden. I mean, did anyone ask her?
It's true. Yeah, maybe she was really into Killers.
I mean, Prince Harry apparently is a heavy metal fan.
Is he?
Well, yeah, this is what some of his colleagues in the army said, yeah. Apparently he likes Megadeth.
Who doesn't like Megadeth?
Oh, yeah. He's a man of impeccable taste.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe he was hanging out with his gran and was like, oh, check this out.
Listen to these guys. Gran.
I mean,
Queen of England.
I think he was very much only the first 6-7 albums kind of guy. He wasn't into Brave New World.
Yeah, it was probably for the best.
But yeah, a phenomenal thing. So has there been any other Maiden news lately?
I don't think so. I think everything's sort of gearing up towards this Somewhere in Time / Senjutsu tour now.
Yeah.
And I imagine there won't be news until that happens.
Which isn't actually that far away. Yeah, no, I suggest stay tuned. I think once that tour starts or once we've been to see it, maybe a bit of both, we'll have a little
yeah,
podcast.
I'm sure around then the PR machine will kick into gear.
Yeah, it'd be good to discuss it. But yeah, so onwards to Series 2. Should we quickly recap? So we're going to start off with Power Slave. Again, probably 2 episodes per album.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully never 3 episodes an album again. Number of the Beast was painful to edit.
Do you think I can keep my thoughts on Seventh Son of a Seventh Son down to 2 episodes, Sam?
Well, we can make it a proggy set of episodes. I'll just add keyboard solos in between every opinion.
No spoilers, but 4. But yeah, so Power Slave, Somewhere Back in Time, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Hell yeah.
No Prayer for the Dying.
Hey.
Well, you've not listened to it yet.
No, true. But I might love it.
But and then a break for an unspecified period of time, and then we'll be back again.
Wow, what a cadence.
Lovely stuff. Well, as usual, please follow us on @MaidenPod on Twitter. Yeah, that's the platform. It's still going.
Yep. Elon Musk hasn't destroyed it. It seems to be fine now, to be honest.
Yeah.
As long as you don't work at Twitter.
Yes, yeah.
My thoughts go out to you if you do. Sorry.
Yeah, and sorry, the Mastodon people, the platform, the band, who must have been very excited for a bit of time there. And yeah, like and subscribe on your podcast platform.
Send us facts to check or be checked.
Send us facts and pictures. I mean, appropriate Maiden related.
Don't send us your holidays.
Yeah, nothing tawdry, please. Just nice Maiden related stuff. That's what we like.
Yeah. Well, on that note, see you soon.
Indeed. Ta-ra.